Welcome to a More Beautiful World podcast with Susyn Renee, a place for those of us with the desire to expand our consciousness, tap into higher vibrations of love, and to connect into a community where together we can make the world a more beautiful place. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned on my journey in discovering how we're all connected and how what we do for one, we do for us all. Here, I'll be sharing my own experiences, knowledge, and expertise for how you can heal, transform, and ascend your being so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of A More Beautiful World. And I am kicking off season 3 with how to create space for new beginnings. This season, we're going to be diving deeper into how to journey into self-love so we can more fully love ourselves and our lives, and ultimately share that love with others and make this a more beautiful world for us all. So in this episode, as we kick off season 3, I am going to share how important it is to create space in your life if you want to bring in new energy and new experiences into your life. I feel this is the foundational starting point on all of our healing and transformation journeys. And because it is so critical and so foundational, I wanted to kick off the season with this concept today. Because if you do want to bring new energy into your life, you have to create space and have space for those new energies to come in. So today I'll be discussing how you can discern what you need to let go of in your life in order to create that space, and of course, how to do it. So if you want to cultivate more love for yourself and others and bring in higher vibrational energies into your life, then this episode is going to be for you. So as always, you know I like to start with questions. So let's reflect a little bit here. And ask yourself, what do I want to bring into my life? What new beginnings am I desiring? Am I hoping for? What new experiences have I been wanting to come into my life? And as you reflect on those questions and get some answers, I now want you to honestly ask yourself, do you have the space in your life for that to come in? I'm going to guess the answer is no. And that's why you're here today. Because so often I see people, who want to have a new relationship or a healthier body or, some other newness in their life, but they keep repeating the same patterns, with the same things that they currently have. And if we stay in the same patterns and the same energy space, nothing new is going to happen. We don't have any space for new energy to come in. And I see that all too often. So if you are on the journey of healing, of transformation, and you want to bring more love and more self-love and higher vibrations into your life, you have to make room for those energies to come in. And again, that's what we're talking about today. So I'm going to be taking you through a process to examine anything in your life to see if you need to let it go in order to create space. And of course, I'll also be talking about practices that you can implement and kind of walking you through a process that you can implement to really make it happen. Because again, I think we need to all start with clearing out the old and the stagnant energy, from your life so you can create that space for the new beginnings to come in for yourself and for your life. Now, I know we all have goals and dreams and desires, all having things out there that we want to bring into our life. So the key to starting this process of creating space for new beginnings is to really get crystal clear on what that new beginning is that you're after, that you really want to bring into your life. This is a critical and foundational step when we're creating space for new beginnings, because we do need to know what we're working toward, right? So I think as you're doing this, start by asking yourself, what is the new beginning I am after? And remember, this new beginning can be anything that you desire. It can be a healthier and more energetic body. It can be to be in a loving, more intimate relationship. It can be to have a more purposeful career that is aligned, with the vision you have for your life. It could be to have a stronger mindset, to, have more confidence, anything. There's a full spectrum of new beginnings, and we all have our beautiful, unique selves on these unique individual journeys in this life. So whatever that new beginning is for you, I want you to really think about that. And a good practice with all of this that we're going to talk about today is to maybe bring it into some journaling. That can be really helpful as you work through, because you might want to add to it or, delete. I love working these things out in journaling, also in Google Docs. Either of those could be an option for you. But when you are thinking about this new beginning, I want you to ask yourself some questions. And think through and feel through some of these questions as you're looking at this new version. So what does this new version of me do on a day-to-day basis, right? How do I show up in the world? Maybe how do I dress? How do I do my hair? What does my home look like? What does my daily routine look like? What habits do I have? How am I feeling each day? What emotions am I experiencing the most often? What am I doing for work? How does that work feel, right? How often am I working? There is an infinite number of questions I feel like we could ask ourselves, but I really want you to get crystal clear on this new beginning, this new version of you, this desire that you have. Because the more that we have just a solid and expanded, and again, this crystal clear version of what you're looking to bring in, the easier some of these next steps are going to be. So once you have your vision of your new you, your new beginning, your new experience, whatever it is, then we can move on to creating space to bring it in. And this is where a lot of discernment comes into play. So discernment is being able to decide what is true and best for you. So with discernment in this process, as you have your vision, right, you fleshed out this beautiful vision of what you want to bring into your life, or how you want to shift and change and transform in your life. So now we take that vision and we compare it to your current life. And this is where we start using discernment, because you need to ask yourself, am I currently showing up in the world as I would in my vision, in my future self? Is my house the way that I want it in my future vision and in my new beginning? Am I currently surrounding myself with people and relationships that are aligned with this new beginning or this new experience? Do I currently feel the emotions that I want to be feeling in my new beginning? Even am I dressing the way that I want in my new beginning? So when we compare the two, this is where you get to really see what is no longer in alignment, right? Because this new beginning, this new version is a higher vibration of you. It is a more aligned version of you that's more aligned with your authentic self, your higher self. So when we're comparing that new beginning, right, that new version of you to where you're at now, you get to see what is not serving you and see what does need to be let go of. And there's an important point that I want to make here, because in, again, your higher self version, right? Your new beginning that you got crystal clear on, this is a different energy than where you're at right now, right? And with that, there is a death and rebirth that's happening. It's a death of the old ways, and a rebirth, an awakening, right, to your higher self, a birth of this new energy of you, right? So it's kind of a death of an old you and a rebirth of a new you. And so if we think about it as that concept, we need to let go of anything in your life currently that is attached to the old you. Because if there is going to be a death, right, which can be a really beautiful thing, right? Kind of dying to the old ways, dying and letting go of the old ways and bringing in the new. We need to let go of anything in your life that is attached to the energy of the old you. Because if you stay in the same clothes and you repeat the same habits and the same patterns, then that new beginning's never going to come to fruition. Is one of my favorites. Dr. Joe Dispenza always says, if you want to change your life, you have to change your energy. And we do that, by creating space and letting go of these lower vibrational, patterns, habits, material things, relationships, to create that space for the new energy to come in. So this is how we create the space for the new energy to come in. And with that, cleaning out the old energy, letting go of the things that are no longer serving us, that gives us this new, amazing, superpower ability to magnetize in those new beginnings, those experiences, those relationships, and all the things that we desire. So I want to take you through an example of that. And I think this will help clarify some things. And then I want to share with you some tips for how to really maximize this process as you go through it. But as we're thinking about an example, let's just say your new beginning is you want to bring a new relationship into your life. So in this relationship, as you were getting crystal clear on it, you want to feel really loved and really seen and heard, and you want to have a deep, intimate connection with your partner. And in this relationship, you feel a lot of love for yourself, and you feel really healthy and energetic, and you feel sexy and confident, and you just love taking care of yourself, and you love feeling safe, to really show up fully and authentically in this relationship. So you've got this beautiful vision of a new relationship. And hopefully, as you flesh out your vision of your new beginnings, you can get way more detailed than that. But we have our vision, in this example. Now, if right now you're eating a lot of crappy food, maybe you've got primarily a fast food diet, you're not taking good care of yourself, you don't have a good self-care routine in place, you're spending time in these half-assed relationships, hooking up with people just to get a warm body next to you, you're engaging with people you ultimately know you don't want to be with, but you kind of just don't want to be alone. So you're entertaining those relationships. All of that you are doing is congesting your energy and keeping you in this stuck pattern. It's keeping you in this old self. And with that, you have no space for that beautiful new relationship to come in. So if you stay in that pattern and keep repeating that while at the same time asking for this new, beautiful, amazing relationship to come in with all the good feels and self-love for yourself, the universe is going to say, hey, we can't make that happen because there's no space. So, in this example, right, when we place discernment on it and you look at where your life is at right now, this new version of you who's feeling healthy and energetic and confident and sexy, that person wouldn't be eating so much fast food and junk food, right? The new version of you would know your worth and would let go of those half-assed relationships that are dead ends and not going anywhere, because you deserve what you're truly after. right? And hey, maybe even, on some of the material items, maybe you'd let go of some furniture that one of your exes gave you along the way that's been lingering around. Okay, so as again, you go through, right, the new version you want to create to where you're at right now, look at the discrepancy, right? And use discernment to ask yourself, is this new beginning, this new version of me, this higher aligned version of me, would they do some of the things I'm doing right now? And also, we've talked a bit about like relationships and, maybe some habits and whatnot. And again, hey, it applies to material things as well. It isn't just about some of these external things. There's a lot of internal work that can happen through this process that I would encourage all of you to spend some time on as well, getting crystal clear again on the new beginning, the new version of yourself, and also assessing where you're at right now. So again, this clearing out and creating space and the shedding, this release process, it unfolds simultaneously, both internally and externally. So another part of, again, this vision, new beginning, current assessment and discernment process is to look at old belief systems. That's a huge part of this process. Looking at perceptions of yourself, looking at judgments you have out there about yourself and others, looking at past pain, emotions and habits. Again, some of these things that we might be like holding on to that are taking up our space, are taking up our energetic space. So going through this process and assessing some of these inner workings as well, and letting go of the ones that are not in alignment, that is even more important, right, than letting go of an old piece of furniture from an ex, although that is also important. But I really encourage you, as you go through your new beginnings exercise and your current assessment, to look at, how do you perceive yourself? And what are your current belief systems? And what are some emotions and habits, that you have right now? And as you inventory those, add that layer of discernment and say which of these are or are not aligned with the new version of me, and this new vision, this new beginning I have for myself. For instance, a lot of you out there, because we talk a lot about self-love, and the journey of healing and transformation and moving into self-love, if you are holding on to limiting beliefs that you are not worthy or you are not deserving, these belief systems that we have, those are up on the table to be let go of. All right. So again, think about how your future self operates and how, he or she feels and experiences life on a day-to-day basis. And when you look at your current, habits and structures and emotions and experiences, then you can discern which are aligned with the new version of you and which are not. And the ones that are not are the ones we need to let go of and create space. So it can be a bit of a tricky process. And of course, if any of you are needing support, go click the link below to schedule a clarity call so we can talk more about this. But I do want to leave you today with a few key tips as you work through the discernment process of what you need to let go of, because I think there are a few key tips to really help you navigate this journey, because it's not a once and done. It's not like you're going to do this full assessment of your life and like change everything overnight. But I do feel, working this process and continuing to work on this process and continuing to let go and create space, and let go of these things that are not aligned with your new vision, will really empower you on your healing and transformation journey. So my first tip that I have is, which we've already talked a little bit about, as you go through your discernment process, ask yourself, is this in alignment with my higher self, with the new version of me? So, as you're looking at your life right now, that's a important foundational question to be asking yourself. Would I do this in my future vision of me? Would I have this? Would I feel this way? Would I still have this relationship in my life? Is it in alignment with that future vision? If not, it is up for grabs on letting go in order to create space. But I also think a really good question to pair with that as you work through the discernment process, and another tip I have for you, is ask yourself the question, does this bring me joy right now? Because if it does bring you joy right now, it may already be in alignment with your higher version. So, I think about one of the last times I went through this process, and I was kind of doing a lot of clearing out of material things as I had accumulated a lot of things from previous relationships and marriages, and one marriage and relationships. And, one of the things that still constantly brings me joy are my crystals, and my salt lamps. And those bring me so much joy right now, even though I've had them for a really long time. They get to stay because they are in very much alignment with me. Same for a lot of my kitchen. I love being in the kitchen. So, there are things that maybe have been with you for a while that maybe have been in alignment with your higher self for a while. So to help you discern through that process, ask yourself, does this bring me joy right now? It's a very helpful question to ask yourself as you move through that discernment process. I think my next tip that I want to share with you that's also really powerful is remember to respect and honor what you are letting go of. It is important to honor what has come into our lives because everything that's come in, everything we've experienced and had, has shaped us and gotten us to where we are and has made us who we are. And so as you're letting go of some of these things, it can be a belief system. It can be that old piece of furniture or old clothes. It can be a relationship. Giving gratitude to whatever it brought to you is an important part. Thanking it, honoring it. You can even, give a little mini ceremony or a ritual into letting it go, depending on what it is and how it makes you feel. Though I think even, taking a simple example of clothing, like if there's something in your closet you're letting go of, at some point that probably sparked joy for you. It probably made you feel really good wearing it. Maybe, you had a great experience on some hot date, with it, whatever. Saying thank you for it before you let it go. It's just a really beautiful way to add a little ceremony and ritual into the process of creating space. And I think, looking at that again as kind of this death and rebirth process, you want to respect and honor the death of the old self and the things that were associated with that. A really beautiful time to kind of give ceremony and ritual to that would be during a full moon, which I'm always happy to talk to you more about. But making sure you give respect, honor, and gratitude to the things you're letting go is another important part of this discernment process and creating space. So another key tip I have for you is as you're going through the process, have awareness around what fear is showing up. That the fear that we bump up against can have a lot of really big lessons for us. So there's no need to judge it or, go crazy about the fear that's showing up. But if you can witness and observe it and let it be part of the lesson, and maybe even let that be part of what you are letting go of, right? Letting go of a fear. It's okay to be afraid of letting go of the old. There is even sometimes a grieving process that can come up, and honoring those emotions is so important. But if you can, as the fear shows up and you can witness it and observe it and see what lesson you may gain from it, as you let go of it, what makes that easier to kind of let go of that fear and move more into a loving space is to connect back into your vision and your why. What is that new beginning you're going after? Why are you creating space? Because that can really help you move through it with a little more grace and ease. The last key little tip I have for you through this process is to create some space to listen to your intuition, which to me, and what I'd encourage you to do, it's all about making time for a little meditation. And I'm not saying you need to overhaul your life right now in meditation and start meditating, 2 hours a day. But as we go through, this is a big shift, as we're creating space and like aligning with this new vision and letting go of the old, making sure you're doing this out of divine guidance and really listening to your heart and your intuition. An important step to make sure that's happening is to create some time for meditation. So even if it's just 5 minutes a day, or maybe a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes at night, it will really help tap you into your intuition and that divine guidance we all have as you're working through this discernment process and as you're working to create space. Because I know myself, sometimes in meditation, I get these downloads and these messages of like, oh, that needs to be let go of, or, oh, it's time to let go of this. Or even on the other side, more refinement on what the new beginning is, and what the new version of me is that I want to come in. So I encourage you as you move through, again, this process of creating space for new beginnings, and you move through the discernment process, do make time for some meditation to make sure just wholeheartedly that you are tapped into your intuition, your inner guidance, because it will absolutely guide and support you throughout this process as well. All right, my friends, with this process and with these tips in mind, I know you're going to be able to create space for new beginnings. You do have to make time to do this, though. That's another point I should point out in my tips. You got to make time to do this, but start by getting clear again on what you're wanting to manifest, what you're wanting to bring into your life. What is that new beginning or that new version of you that you're after? From there, take an inventory of all of the internal and external things in your life right now. Go through that process of discernment and see what is in or what is out of alignment. And from there, use those tips I shared in the discernment process to help you let go of the things that no longer serve you, let go of the things that are not in alignment with that new beginning and that new version of you, and create the space for the blessings and the new beginnings and the new energies that you want to come in. And of course, tribe, if you want some support in working through this process, I am here for you. So in the episode notes below, there is a link to sign up for a free clarity call session with me. I'd be happy to discuss more about this process and how I can support you through it. Sometimes just even a good session together can get us really moving through this process. So take advantage of that free call if you're in alignment with it. But ultimately, my dear tribe, this is all about the mission of this podcast, and that is to make our world a more beautiful place. And that does begin with better loving ourselves. In connecting more deeply into self-love, and we go through our own healing and our own transformation journeys, it does begin with creating space, which is what this episode was all about today and why we kicked off the season with it. Because as we create space, you then get the opportunity for those higher vibrations, those new energies to come into your life. And that is what is going to help you love yourself more. And as you love yourself more, we can all better love each other, and we can make this a more beautiful world for us all. Well, that is all for today, tribe. Until next time, much love to you all. Hey, tribe. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this podcast, make sure to like the video below and then click subscribe so you never miss an episode. And remember, I've got lots of free resources available to you to support your healing, transformation, and ascension so you can help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Make sure you check them out in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.